Celtic have now failed to qualify for the Champions League 6 times in a row, and the road back is only going to get harder. We have also got the captain admitting his own squad was scared, O'Neill taking full responsibility and saying it is the worst night of his managerial career, and Simon Jordan branding the entire squad cowards on national radio. It has been an absolutely brutal 48 hours. Let's go through it all. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Callum McGregor has delivered one of the most brutally honest post-match interviews you will ever hear from a Celtic captain, admitting the squad was scared and that they got exactly what they deserved after throwing away a 4-goal aggregate lead against Lask. To put this into context, Celtic won the first leg at Parkhead 3-0. McGregor himself then scored in the second leg in Austria after 21 minutes to put them 4 goals ahead on aggregate. Lask needed 5 goals to go through. They scored 5. McGregor did not attempt to soften the blow. Speaking to Amazon Prime Video immediately after the final whistle, he said, "We got what we deserved. I thought we were still passive all night. We actually were scared to go in the game. You're 3-0 up in the tie. It's psychological. To be honest, I didn't think we were that good in the first leg either. We scored at good times and we kind of got away with it." That admission from the captain is remarkable. He is saying that even in the first leg, when Celtic were winning comfortably, the performances were not as convincing as the scoreline suggested. The fragility was there before the second leg even started. He went further, refusing to use the squad's depth or the lack of transfer activity as an excuse. It's as much on the players as anything else. You can't lose that game by such a big margin and then start looking for excuses elsewhere. We have to accept that. He also spoke about the response needed, saying, "You'll now see what people are made of. You now have to show reaction, and that's what Celtic is all about." McGregor is right that the response has to come quickly. Celtic face Falkirk at Parkhead on Saturday. The supporters will be watching very closely. Now for the main story, as the full picture of just how bleak Celtic's Champions League future looks has now emerged, with the club having failed to qualify for the competition's group stage or league phase for 6 consecutive attempts, and the path forward only getting harder. The sequence is a damning one. It goes back to 2018 when Celtic fell to AEK Athens. Since then, Cluj, Ferencvaros, Midtjylland, Kairat, and now Lask have all stopped them at various stages of qualifying. 6 years, 6 failures, and this one with a 3-0 first leg lead turned into elimination may be the hardest of all to stomach. What makes the situation even more alarming is that the qualification route is not going to get easier. Scotland's UEFA coefficient currently sits at 16th in Europe. Even if Celtic win the Premiership this season, they would still need to come through 2 qualifying rounds and a playoff to reach the league phase. That is 3 separate knockout ties between mid-July and late August every single summer. The margin for error is 0. The financial consequences of Tuesday night are enormous. Champions League qualification would have delivered around £40 million in television and participation money. The Europa League figure is considerably lower. That gap directly affects the club's ability to strengthen the squad in the transfer window and every summer going forward. Lask, an Austrian club playing in their domestic league for the first time in years, will now play in the Champions League that Celtic should have been part of. That is the honest reality of where the club stands. If the board and the manager are serious about closing this gap, the answers need to start arriving now. The window is still open. Qualifying begins again next July. The same problems that existed before Tuesday night have not disappeared with the final whistle. In other news, Martin O'Neill has taken full responsibility for the Champions League collapse against Lask, saying it is the most disappointing result of his time as Celtic manager, and comparing the pain to the UEFA Cup final loss to Porto back in 2003. Speaking to Amazon Prime Video after the final whistle in Linz, O'Neill was direct. "We should have been out of sight by half-time. We scored a goal which was great. We missed 2 great opportunities, and then we gave them a lifeline just before half-time, and then one just after it. They came roaring back, and obviously we conceded. From our viewpoint, not good goals at all, but that's my team and that's my responsibility." He acknowledged that Celtic had appeared to weather the storm before being sucker-punched late on. "We can't get out for 10 minutes, and then we seem to have weathered the storm and looked as if we were going to see it through at the end. They score with a couple of minutes to go, and that takes it to extra time. So really, obviously disappointed." When asked whether this ranked among the toughest nights of his managerial career, O'Neill did not hesitate. I would say absolutely. I put it down below the disappointment of losing the UEFA Cup final in 2003, but tonight it is so disappointing. He refused to be drawn on the squad's quality immediately after the game, saying transfer questions were for another day. But the context cannot be ignored. Arne Engels was sold just days before the first leg. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was serving a European ban. The squad that started the second leg was not at full strength. O'Neill has taken the blame. The problems behind this result, however, did not start on Tuesday night in Austria. In other news, TalkSport pundit Simon Jordan has torn into Celtic's performance and branded the squad cowards for the manner of the collapse in Linz. Jordan was scathing in his assessment, saying on TalkSport it was an appallingly cowardly performance. What really started the rot was an unforgivable error from one of Celtic's players which brought them back from the dead. Then to concede goals directly after half-time, you wonder what managers say at half-time that makes them so unresponsive and they go and concede. He was equally dismissive of the narrative around Celtic being fortunate in the first leg. All this nonsense about them getting lucky in the first leg. I don't hear that narrative being spun out when they won 3-0. All of a sudden, they got lucky. Lask did have a lot of shots on goal. Their expected goals was 3. They didn't score 3, they scored 0. Jordan also made the point that O'Neill himself cannot be primarily blamed. Martin will be privately seething, realising that the players have let him down. But what he will do as an old school manager is deflect from the players and make it about himself. There is nothing about what Martin did in that dugout that could legislate for a capitulation of that order. He specifically called out Luke McCowan, who was introduced from the bench, surrendered possession 19 times, and was at fault for the goal that made it 4-1 on the night. McCowan has since deleted his Instagram account following the volume of abuse directed at him after the match. Jordan's conclusion was damning. He said the players coming off the bench looked completely lost and had none of the mental strength the occasion required. Lastly, Celtic now know they will play Europa League football this season, and their potential opponents have been revealed as the pot positions for Friday's draw begin to take shape. The Hoops have been confirmed in Pot 2, which means a competitive but navigable set of opponents across the 8 league phase fixtures. Celtic will face 2 clubs from each pot, with 1 Parkhead tie and 1 away game in each section. Pot 1 includes Bayer Leverkusen, Juventus, AC Milan, AZ Alkmaar, Olympiacos, Real Sociedad and Marseille as already confirmed sides, with Benfica and Fenerbahce also projected to qualify. Pot 2 alongside Celtic includes Union Saint-Gilloise, Sparta Prague and Stade Rennais, with Red Star, Dinamo Zagreb and RB Salzburg among those projected to join. Pot 3 could feature Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Sunderland and Celta Vigo, while Pot 4 remains largely undecided with 6 clubs still to emerge from Thursday evening's Conference League playoffs. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.